causes a man to come off as low value to most women. Dating marketplace speaking. This only concerns your romantic desirability, not necessarily your worth and dignity as a human. Low-value men often drain resources and provide little in return, becoming a burden on those around them. This term, value here, refers to the practical skills and qualities a person contributes, not their inherent worth as a human being. When it comes to skills and abilities, low-value men generally lack the respect of others. Some men merely exist without truly living, only to pass away without leaving a mark. By the end of this discussion, you'll clearly understand what it means to be a low-value man. These individuals embody a combination of traits that hold them back, and the purpose of this discussion isn't to belittle, but to serve as a harsh reality check that might motivate you to improve. Here are 15 characteristics of a low-value man. Low value 1, the lowest earning quarter. In terms of social standing, men are often judged by their financial success and societal position because that's how society gauges influence. The more value a man offers, the more value he tends to accumulate. Low-value men struggle to accumulate value and often can't even support themselves, relying on others for basic needs like food, clothing, and shelter. These men might still live with their parents well into their 30s, depending on them for essentials, even down to their laundry and spending money. Such individuals often prefer to collect welfare instead of seeking employment. Even when they do acquire money, it slips away quickly because they lack the skills to manage it. They may express disdain for the wealthy, accusing them of dishonesty while spending their limited resources on lottery tickets and alcohol. There is no honor in being low value, but there is honor in discipline and hard work. Engaging in honest labor, whether as a plumber, construction worker, or in waste management, earns respect regardless of the job. And before anyone takes this as an excuse to boast, money obtained through illegal means doesn't count. It doesn't matter how much you earn if your income is tainted by crime. The inability to take pride in your work or the risk of imprisonment disqualifies you from true success, even if you seem to win in the short term. In the end, cheating means you've lost the real game, no matter how much you try to justify it to yourself. Unhealthy and weak. Number 2, unhealthy and lacking strength. Men of low value tend to be both physically and mentally frail. And this isn't about genetics, it's about the effort one puts in. You could be considered unattractive by conventional standards, but if you work out, maintain a clean and healthy body, dress appropriately, and improve your personality, your perceived value increases. Low-value men choose to neglect their health. Your physical condition is a direct reflection of your character, and while it's often said that inner qualities are what count, if your inner strength is solid, it will inevitably enhance your outer appearance, just as a plant thrives when rooted in rich soil. These men often dislike what they see in the mirror, but criticize society for sharing the same view. Low-value men fail to grasp how the world operates. Taking care of yourself is the bare minimum required to function in society. It's not optional. This is why we maintain basic hygiene before entering shared spaces like public transit. We aim to support our content with data and statistics, as they represent the reality without personal bias. Here's something interesting we found. Women evaluate men differently than men evaluate women, according to data from OkCupid, one of the largest dating platforms in the US. Only 0.3% of men are considered extremely attractive based on physical appearance alone, while men tend to rate women on a bell curve. On the other hand, about half of all men are rated as less attractive, primarily because they aren't even making an effort. This data sheds light on the reality of today's world, and if you want to be competitive, you need to take this seriously. These aren't just men with low status, they're at the very bottom, with no one paying attention to them. Low-value men often identify as incels, harboring resentment towards women and others for not accepting them as they are, despite offering little to like in return. Being low value isn't a birthright, it's a result of neglect, laziness, and poor choices. Number 3, abusive and overbearing. Their parasitic tendencies infiltrate every aspect of their lives. They are emotionally abusive and manipulative, and if they encounter someone weaker, they may even resort to physical abuse and control. These men often have the mindset that, if I can't have you, no one can. Due to their low position on the social ladder, they're desperate to exert any form of power. Their desperation and insecurity are glaringly evident. When their insecurities are exposed, they either crumble or lash out in anger. Low-value men live in constant fear of being abandoned, leading them to resort to threats of violence to maintain control. This is why they frequently erupt in jealousy and why everything seems to set them off. They have nothing of substance within, and they're terrified others will see through them. Such men are often products of broken environments they've never attempted to repair. They avoid therapy, refuse to mature, and never make an effort to heal. If you don't address your wounds, you'll end up hurting those who didn't harm you, which leads us to the next point. Absent fathers. Number 4. Not present for their children. These men never had a proper father figure to teach them how to be responsible men, how to provide, protect, and discover who they are while working towards self-improvement. Consequently, the cycle continues as they fail to teach themselves how to be responsible fathers. Low-value men bring children into the world and then abandon them, shirking the responsibility of caring for their offspring. But what if it was an accident, you might ask? The reality is, it wasn't an accident. You either chose to have unprotected sex, or the protection failed. Whatever the case, engaging in sex was a choice, and sometimes, the outcome is a child. These are the choices you made, prioritizing temporary pleasure over long-term responsibility. In this scenario, even your attempt to avoid responsibility is weak. Actions have consequences. You can't just pretend nothing happened and walk away. Ignoring a problem doesn't make it disappear, and that's not what a responsible or high-value man does. You made the choice to have sex without protection, so you need to step up and provide child support. No one is suggesting you stay in an unfulfilling relationship, but if you choose to leave, you must still take responsibility for your child. Your mistakes come with a hefty price, but given that low-value men struggle to even take care of themselves, it's hardly surprising they can't care for their own child. This is why society views them with disdain. Not only do they neglect their responsibilities, but they also complicate a woman's ability to move forward and build a stable family life. Low IQ, EQ, and lack of personality. 5. Low intelligence, poor emotional skills, and no personality. These individuals have the intelligence of a rock, the emotional awareness of a shoelace, and the charisma of a blank wall. If your IQ is below 85, you're in the bottom 16% of the population. But IQ alone isn't the whole story. Many people with average intelligence have found success through other means. Empathy, emotional intelligence, and a strong personality are often more crucial than simply being able to solve puzzles. However, low-value men fall short in all these areas. They struggle to concentrate, communicate, and connect emotionally with others. They're rarely invited anywhere, and are usually just an afterthought. Low-value men make for poor company. People don't really want them around, because they never have anything interesting to share since they never do anything interesting. They make others uncomfortable and aren't fun to hang out with. They're often miserable, and that misery tends to spread. Lazy, unmotivated, and a burden to others. 6. Lethargic, unambitious, and a burden. These men are passive spectators in their own lives, with events unfolding around them rather than because of them. They're content to merely survive, even if they can't do so independently. You'll often hear them asking to borrow money, dramatizing their situation as if it's life or death, when in reality, they waste their resources on junk, alcohol, and cigarettes. Low-value men are experts at wasting time and procrastinating. They haven't read a book in years, but can binge-watch hundreds of episodes of an anime or TV show. Even when handed opportunities, they manage to mess things up. Someone might help them land a decent job, yet they fail to meet even the basic requirements, reflecting poorly on the person who helped them get in the door. Number 7. Unfortunate and always struggling. These men constantly talk about how they're just waiting for their big break, convinced it's just around the corner. They all believe they'll be millionaires someday, but for now, they need to borrow money for gas. They lose money gambling, haven't won the lottery, and can't seem to find a good partner. Is it their fault? Of course not. In their eyes, they're simply unlucky. Low-value men are always chasing something they'll never catch. They're always talking about their next big move. But despite years of hearing the same stories, they've accomplished nothing. It's all talk, no action. These men think they have potential, but the harsh truth is that potential means nothing without action. Luck favors those who are working. The harder you work, the luckier you get. 8. Jealous and deceitful. Men of low value are prone to dishonesty. They lie, cheat, and betray even those closest to them. Instead of feeling inspired by the success of others, they seethe with envy. These men are filled with bitterness, not because they want to achieve more, but because they resent those who have. They choose jealousy over inspiration. They are the ones spewing negativity while the successful pay them no mind. These men are largely invisible, unnoticed by society. People see right through them, not wasting a second of their time, as time is valuable, and these men are not deserving of it. Despite this, low-value men constantly seek out others' time to serve their own needs, feeling almost entitled to it. In their insecurity, they try to drag others down to their level, believing that if they can pull others down, they'll somehow elevate themselves. Number 9. Surrounded by other low-value men. Just take a look at their group. They're all just variations of the same aimless, low-value individual. These men have wandered through life without direction, despite the well-known saying that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. They continue to surround themselves with other low-value individuals. This is one of the biggest pitfalls in life. Low-value men binding themselves to others of the same kind. This way, if they all stay on the same level, no one feels like they've failed in life. You can spot a low-value man trying to keep you down, because every time you share your aspirations or plans for the future, they'll always tell you it's impossible, too hard, or that you lack the necessary connections. They'll come up with any excuse, even fabricate one if needed, to discourage you from trying. Every time you attempt to improve, they try to pull you back down. Many low-value men struggle with various forms of addiction, and their low-value friends are the ones offering just one more after you've said you'd quit. Sometimes this can even come from family. The only way to escape is to sever those ties and distance yourself from them. 10. Never invests in himself. Some men remain low value because they fail to invest in increasing their own worth. They don't spend time or money on education, skills training, health, personal image, or relationships. Whatever money they do have is quickly spent, leading to a life of living paycheck to paycheck, or worse, constantly borrowing time. These men might be watching this video because someone else sent it to them as a wake-up call. You won't find low-value men seeking out content like this on their own because they're too busy doing nothing. They aren't willing to invest in themselves, too lazy to put in the effort, and definitely won't spend any money to improve. Even if told that an app could significantly boost their value and earning potential with just 10 minutes a day, they'd still balk at paying $99 a year. They're the ones always looking for a discount or asking if they can try it for free. Number 11. Stuck in the same place. A low-value man is nothing if not consistent in his mediocrity. You'll find him in the same place you left him 10 years ago. He was born in a small town, and he'll likely die in that same small town. The last time you saw him, he was hanging out with the same crew on the same street corner, and he's still doing that now. The low-value man doesn't evolve. He just ages. He sticks to the same habits because that's all he knows how to do. In some cases, he's even been to jail, and the moment he's out, he falls right back into his old ways. These men often idolize characters from mafia movies, fancying themselves as Tony Montana, Tony Soprano, or Michael Corleone. But a man's true value lies in his ability to shape his own destiny. Time slips by quickly, and if 5 years from now, you're still dealing with the same problems you have today, that's on you. 12. Blaming others and deeply entitled. Low-value men become furious when others don't bend over backward for them. They're so self-centered that they believe the world owes them something. They're the male equivalent of those who believe they can manifest their desires with no effort. He makes no effort to improve his life, yet complains about not finding a girlfriend. He expects that somehow, magically, one will appear. With a habit of stalking high school classmates on Instagram and a reliance on certain adult content, he's unable to form real human connections. At best, he's a simp. At worst, he's the one creating fake accounts to hurl insults online. No matter what happens in his life, it's never his fault. It's always someone else's fault. The government, society, someone of a different race. Everything is blamed on external factors. Low-value men operate with a victim mentality. Number 13. Prefers escapism over reality. A low-value man's reality is often unpleasant, so he seeks ways to avoid it. He turns to substances or other forms of addiction to escape his daily life. He retreats into virtual or imaginary worlds where he feels more significant. Hours are spent gaming or pretending to be a superhero in the confines of his room. If it's not anime or video games, he's likely rewatching old TV shows like Friends to feel a sense of belonging, filling the void of not having real friends. His addiction isn't just about how he spends his time. When confronted, he'll always find a way to justify it. By focusing on temporary pleasures and escapism, low-value men are actively destroying their own future. Without hobbies, interests, or the ability to communicate effectively, progressing in life becomes nearly impossible. Low-value 14. Perpetually angry at the world. Low-value men often harbor deep resentment towards the world around them, while high-value men strive to bring order. These men are filled with anger, angry at women for not paying attention to them, despite lacking any real ambition. They're upset with gold diggers, resentful of chads who attract beautiful women, and bitter that they're not recognized as the good guys they believe themselves to be. But here's the truth. They're not as great as they think. They're also mad at the wealthy for their success, but it's impossible to become what you despise. They're annoyed with older generations for having lived in easier times. In essence, they're just angry, a lot. Beneath this anger lies deep hurt. Many of these men have likely experienced trauma during their childhoods, but due to their choices and the way they continue to dig themselves deeper into a life they despise, they've reached a point where only they can save themselves. Number 15. Lacks true masculine traits. Now, before you get defensive, understand that masculinity here refers to certain characteristics. Historically, masculinity has been defined by the ability to protect, provide, assert, raise strong children, and contribute to society. High-value men generally excel in these areas, and because social hierarchies are based on comparisons, those lacking these traits are deemed low value. Now that you know, what would you do? The only way to break free from the low-value trap is to take complete ownership of your life. Aside from any traumatic experiences, act as if everything in your life is a result of your actions. You are entirely responsible for your life. There are no excuses. This is the only way to shed a victim mentality. If you believe you're currently a low-value man, turn off the world for 6 months. No entertainment, no adult content, no junk food, no hanging out with the same old crowd. Go into beast mode and disappear for 6 months. What's 6 months compared to the rest of your life? In half a year, you can elevate yourself from low value to at least average, and from there, you can improve to a high value man. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it valuable, consider subscribing to our channel and joining our incredible community. If you're still hungry for more, we've handpicked this next video for you, or you can head over